Hey Snowboard Addiction, Taevis here, and in this video we're going deep dive the Frontside 360, breaking down what works and what doesn't work on this iconic trick. We're going to start with this Frontside 360 here, focusing on what aspects work and what I try to focus on every single Frontside 360. Starting with the approach. When approaching a Frontside 360, it's really important to be patient on your edge. I like to transition from my toe edge to my heel edge around the spoon of the jump. That's where the jump starts going uphill. So I'm waiting to get onto my heel edge until I'm starting to hit that upward part of the jump. That's just going to make it so you spend less time on your heel edge, making it easier to control. Because if you go and get onto your edge too soon, it's going to make it so you want to go and start turning off the jump, causing drifting, causing you to not get that straight, clean pop. That's really important to get this trick on lock. The next thing that's really crucial is making sure your upper body is aligned with your snowboard. Opening up your chest to the face of a jump too soon is going to limit your maximum range of power and just make it so the trick's hard to generate rotation and stay in control. So making sure that you're nice and squared with your snowboard is going to really help give you a powerful platform to generate rotation. Next is the timing of the snap. I'm trying to keep myself completely stacked, not throwing the spin until I'm around half a board length away from the takeoff. This is just going to make it so when I pop up, I can hit my maximum point of extension, what should be 90 degrees, as my tail remains straight, snapping off the end of the jump. The reason why we don't want our upper body to rotate more than this 90-degree angle is because when we only have it rotate 90, it lets us keep our spot forward at the knuckle. It brings us to the next important part of this trick, and that's the constant spot. We'll have a better example for that in a bit, but basically the constant spot means you lock your eyes on the knuckle off a takeoff and you keep your spot at that point on the knuckle the whole duration of the spin, not losing sight of the same point all the way until you hit the landing, because that sets you up to finish with this blind landing position looking uphill. What's really important, because it makes it so when you're landing, your upper body is rotated back towards the slope, making it so when you land, you have time to disperse your rotation by letting your upper body unwind. So the important steps for a Frontside 360 are this: the delayed in run, making sure you're switching to your heels after the spoon of a jump, staying squared, snapping and leaving fully extended with your upper body rotated around 90 and locking your eyes on the knuckle the whole way into landing. Now let's go and compare that to a Frontside 360 I have here. I'll just play them both and you can see what you notice, and then we'll go and break down why the Frontside 360 on the left doesn't work quite as well as the one on the right. The first thing we're going to start with is the in-run. You always want to look at the in-run first when trying to break down a trick. So first we can see he's doing a really unnecessary heel side carve, making it so his carve line isn't straight, switch edge. Instead, he's coming in, switching edges, and then turning really fast. This is just going to make it hard to control and less consistent. The timing for switching to the heel edge is actually really good here, but a big crucial difference is look at how wide of approach he's taking. He's coming in with a very strong, aggressive turn this way. That's going to make it so you have more momentum, but you're going to need to stop yourself in order to not drift across. Where when I'm doing my setup carve, I'm keeping a super narrow line, making it so I don't have much sideways momentum, but I need to slow down. So too much sideways momentum is going to make it a lot harder to go and control a clean heel edge. And the biggest mistake that we can see here is his chest opening too early. So he's still going and rotating towards his heel edge, but his chest is already opened up towards the face of the jump. This is making him go and get pulled towards the center of the jump, what's going to go and make it harder to go control the spin. So with that in mind, he actually does a really good job keeping this straight edge line, but the issue is he's rotated completely 90 already and his board's still going up the lip of a jump. What happens when you're going up a jump and your upper body's already rotated? This means you're going to need to stall out. And when you stall your upper body in a position for a period of time, it makes it so that you have no more momentum. I like to think about a drill. A drill has a bunch of power when it's spinning, its power's going, but as soon as it stops, you have no more power being generated. So when you go and snap, drill your power too soon and then stop it, you're not going to have any power as you leave off the lip. So this is making it so he's actually only using the small little bit of range of motion. from this point to here is the only range of motion he's actually getting rotation from. If we compare that to mine, I'm getting so much more range of motion because I went and kept my body nice and squared over top of my snowboard for a longer duration of time, meaning that we're leaving off a takeoff in a very similar position, yet I've used so much more range of motion that's helping me generate spin. The other thing that happens when you do this is it makes it so you go and rotate your upper body a little bit too much. So we can see that I'm almost perfectly 90 degrees, where he's going and rotating and tilting a little bit. This on a small scale isn't too big of a deal, but it's going to make it harder to stay connected. And it's going to make it so your head is rotated and spotting more to the left instead of more straight in front of you. What's going to make it so you lean a bit more into your spin. So let's see how this plays out. He pops up, grabs, holds the constant spot, but right here gets stuck on top of his body. The reason why he's going and getting stuck and not having a smooth rotation is just because his chest was open to the jump, didn't get much range of motion, because everything else here, the spot, everything's all good, but he needs to rely on counter rotation. What we're going to cover next. Because counter rotation is a really useful tool for frontside 360s, but if you use it at 180 degrees here, it's going to be really hard to get that full rotation around and land in that stacked position. The last thing that I want to point out is look at where he's spotting when coming to the landing. He's spotting looking forward in front of him instead of going and spotting looking back uphill. This is just going to make it so you don't have so much rotation of the upper body, and it's going to be hard to stop and kill the spin. So this is actually really close to being a proper frontside 360, just opening up with the upper body too soon, limiting the range of motion, and that's causing him to not get that power, making it so he needs to rely on counter rotation to get the spin around. And the last little note here is you always want to be leading with your front arm. So see how my front arm's nice and wide away from the body pulling through, where his front arm is going and stopping his rotation, making it so his chest isn't open to the jump. Here we have two frontside 360s on 5-foot jumps, one utilizing counter rotation and the blind landing, and one not. You can see on the one that I don't use counter rotation or the blind landing, I'm going and spinning out, losing control of the trick. This is because of a couple reasons. First, in the air, it makes it so I don't have anything to lock my eyes onto because I can't utilize that constant spot. This is making it so I need to look up and around my shoulder to continue the spin. If you're continuing to spin around the shoulder, you're naturally going to progress and land facing forward with your upper body also facing forward. So that's in large contrast to the one on the right where I'm looking backwards with my whole upper body tilted towards the knuckle of the jump. And that's why my momentum, I'm not able to kill it and I'm sliding out. Because both of these 360s, I'm rotating the same amount, under rotating a little bit. What's really nice on a frontside 360 to kill the spin, digging in my toe edge, but the difference is on the right, my upper body is completely rotated back up towards the slope with my eyes locked on the knuckle, and on the left, my body is landing completely stacked with my eyes facing downhill, not giving me any room to play with to kill my momentum. So that momentum is going to be channeled through my whole body, making it so I go and spin out on the landing. That's why it's so important to keep your eyes in this constant spot position, because one, it lets you know where you are in the air, because on the left, I can tell you, I had no idea where I was on the air. It's a small jump, so I felt comfortable, but my eyes are just looking up and around the shoulder, and I don't actually spot the landing into right here at 270. What's very different from the one on the right, where I'm spotting the knuckle, spotting my landing before my board's even off the takeoff because the gap's so small, and then I can hold my eyes on that same point for the full duration, all the way until I touch down. It also lets you utilize a really important principle for frontside spins, or any spin where you're landing with your back coming into the landing, and that's counter rotation. So I want you to watch my hips here. Notice how my hips on the right go and shift, not in correlation to my body. This is something called counter rotation, and that's where you go and have your upper body rotated one way, and then you go and connect it with your lower body, making it so it speeds up the spin, but it also does another really important thing, and that is killing your rotation. Counter rotation goes and speeds you up, but it only speeds you up to a maximum of 180 degrees, After that, you've used your rotation and you disconnected your body, making it so you have no more spinning momentum. This is really useful on a frontside 360 because when we want to be coming into the landing without any momentum, because it makes it easier to go and stop rotation. So utilizing counter rotation can be really useful to go and finish a trick, speed it up, and it can also really help you lock in those landings. So that's all coming from the spot. If you're not going and spotting the knuckle, spotting in front of you, then you're going to be looking around your shoulder, keeping everything connected, and you can't go and have your upper body lead the rotation in the same way. And counter rotation only works when you're disconnected with your upper and lower body, so you need that rotation being led with your upper body if you want to utilize it. So this is a mistake I see a lot, and it's basically just coming from not fully understanding and utilizing the constant spot. That's why the constant spot is so important on any frontside 360. We're going to wrap this video up by just looking at a bunch of different frontside 360s, because these principles you learn in this video apply for every single frontside spin. Be it a front free off a 5-foot jump, a front free off a 50-foot jump, front 7s, front 10s, they're all using these same principles. Even Nev, who we have a clip of here, is using the same principles on his front free, really exaggerating that blind landing. It's because it works. You can go and tweak it a little bit, and you don't need to be absolutely perfect in order to get this frontside 360. We're aiming for perfection, but perfection comes with time. I like to think you can only focus on 2 things when doing a trick. First needs to be the takeoff, and then one component. So don't go think what not to do, instead think about what to do and try narrowing your focus into one thing at a time. And that's going to just make front frees a lot easier to learn and a lot more approachable. Because if you can go and hit free out of these steps, you'll be able to do a good front free. But once you can hit all 5 in a row consistently, your front frees will be amazing and will be a powerful tool that you can go and build off for bigger jumps or bigger spins in the future. I'm Taevis from Snowboard Addiction, and our goal is to improve your riding.